So my campfire story tonight is about artificial intelligence. These days, it seems everybody is walking around talking about artificial intelligence as if it is this game-changing, life-altering, society-toppling miracle. And it might well be. It's just not intelligent. And I think after this talk, you'll agree with me that artificial intelligence is not intelligent. And hopefully you have gained another perspective on how to look at these machines. To argue for why I think so, why I think AI isn't intelligent, I will tell you 3 stories. I'm going to tell you a story from 2004. I'm going to tell you a story from the second half of the last century. And I'm going to tell you a story from the future. But we'll start in 2004. In 2004, I'm in high school. I've been a computer nerd for about as far back as I can remember. I've been interested in AI for just as long without really knowing what AI was. Maybe I still don't know. And in 2004, DARPA, which is the research arm of the US military, they launched something called the DARPA Grand Challenge. The Grand Challenge. You would expect the title of a thing to carry at least a little hint about what it's about, like the National Pie Eating Championships or something like that. But no, not here. This is too important. This is the Grand Challenge. So what is the Grand Challenge about? Well, from the surface of it, it's actually pretty mundane. It's about driving a truck through a desert. Turns out that in 2004, the US Army had a big need for driving trucks through deserts, but you can read about that in the history books. But there's a twist, of course. It's not about you or me driving a truck through a desert. It's about making a computer drive a truck through a desert. And I'm 18 years old, and I am hooked. I think this is the coolest thing. Now I'm here, I'm 39 years old. I still think it's the coolest thing. But we'll leave the trucks in the desert for a little while and jump back in time. Far back in time, actually, to 1956, just 10 years after the end of World War II. We traveled to Dartmouth College, which is in New England, deep forests of New England, New Hampshire, more specifically in the US. And at Dartmouth College, something called the Dartmouth Summer Research Project starts. And what is this? This is a gathering of scientists, roughly 20 scientists over the course of roughly 8 weeks. They meet to basically found the field of AI. They start by coming up with the name, artificial intelligence. Nobody had come up with that name before. And then they have big ambitions. They want to be able to teach the computer how to learn language, how to use abstractions, how to use concepts, and also they want to teach the computer how to teach itself. That's a pretty lofty goal for 8 weeks and 20 people. And suffice it to say, while they did make some progress over those 8 weeks and over the following 7 decades, we are still not anywhere near solving these problems. We know something about language, but we haven't solved language yet. So we scientists, we start out strong by vastly underestimating human intelligence. One of the big benchmarks that the early AI scientists had was chess, the game of chess. If the computer can play chess, then it must be intelligent. And that makes sense because chess is a difficult game to play. I can attest to that. I'm the father of a 5-year-old who recently decided she wanted to learn chess. Just figuring out where to put the pieces on the game board is difficult. Knowing how to move the pieces is difficult. And that can, of course, easily be put into a computer. But to really play chess, you need something more. You need to understand strategy. You need to understand how your moves impact the moves of your opponent. You need to basically be able to predict the future. So it makes sense that these early AI pioneers, they thought that chess is the benchmark. When the computer can play chess, it is intelligent. And this all comes to a head in 1997. In 1997, IBM, the big computer company, it still exists out there somewhere, not as big anymore. They have spent a decade developing this system called Deep Blue. Deep Blue is a chess computer. And it's getting quite good at chess. So they decide to challenge the world champion, Garry Kasparov. and they meet across 6 games. That's the match, and Deep Blue wins. Garry Kasparov is bitter about that to this date, if you ask him. And that's it. That's the end of my talk, because since 1997, we've all considered computers a superior intelligence, right? Or perhaps not, because it turns out there's a lot more to intelligence than the ability to play chess. Now we move back to 2004 and the Grand Challenge. So Grand Challenge is a race. It's about getting your self-driving truck from just outside Barstow in California to Primm, which is close to Las Vegas. And if you've ever taken the drive from California to Vegas, like many tourists do, you've taken the interstate just next to the trails that they used for the DARPA Grand Challenge. It's a race of 142 miles of dirt roads. And 15 teams have qualified to participate in this race, and they all meet up a very, very early morning on Saturday, March 13th, 2004. At 6:30, the first team sends off their car with a following car that can stop it if something goes wrong. And over the course of the next 2 hours, the remaining 14 contestants start. How fast do you think the best competitor did it? 142 miles. Or rather, how far do you think the best competitor made it? And I can see on your faces you've gotten my point. The best competitor made it 7.4 miles. That is less than 5% of the length of the track. So this is basically a complete failure. And I'm sitting here at my high school in Aalborg trying to follow along because YouTube hasn't been invented, but they've uploaded some videos elsewhere. And I see this and I am totally on board. The computers don't dominate anything yet. They are easily fooled by a dust cloud or by a wire fence or by just a ditch along the road. But I've seen a glimpse of what is possible. And that glimpse sent me on a trajectory that culminates in me standing here today talking about AI. But my point of this talk is not to say that it does not work or cannot work. Quite the contrary, actually. Because the following year, in 2005, DARPA once again runs the Grand Challenge. Of course, a new secret route through the desert, but other than that, the same concept. This time around, 25 teams qualify, and 23 of these teams, they managed to make it all the way to the end. Sorry, that's wrong. 23 of these teams make it further than the best team from last year. So the best team last year was the red team out of Carnegie Mellon University in Pittsburgh. And Carnegie Mellon's red team makes it all the way, along with 4 others. So 5 of the competitors, they make it all the way through this track. Red team comes in 2nd place, just 9 seconds after Stanley, which was the car that came from Stanford University in California. So over just the course of a year, this has improved immensely. We can go on to 2016. We AI researchers have long forgotten about chess at this point, but we are now interested in something called Go. And Go is not a particularly well-known game outside AI circles. It's not well-known in Europe or in the US, but it's a big game in South Korea. It's a very complex game. The game board is much, much bigger than chess, making it very difficult to map out all of the possible moves. And then that makes it a difficult game to play for computers. It's thought to require intuition and creativity to play Go really well. But in 2016, AlphaGo, which is a Go AI from DeepMind in London, goes up against Lee Sedol, who is one of the world's best at playing Go. And it obviously wins. And it actually wins by inventing a new strategy. People had been playing Go for centuries. But there was a strategy they had not invented, and the computer invents this strategy, confuses Lee Sedol, and wins the game. We can also move along to 2022, and we can fly to Phoenix, Arizona, and we can actually pay to get driven by a self-driving car as a taxi ride. So now, not even 20 years after 2004, we can actually drive a self-driving car. So AI works, it works really, really well. It's going to impact all of us in the future. It's going to help us do our jobs. It's going to help our doctor diagnose and treat us. It's going to physically take us places, as with these Waymo taxis. And it helped me write this talk, of course. So it works. Now, my point with this talk is that it works, but also that it's not really intelligent. As soon as we have made something work, we move the goalposts. We say, oh, chess, that's not that important, is it? It's just chess. Or self-driving cars, yes, that's fine, but it really only knows how to drive in Phoenix. It's not that impressive, right? It's not going to take me home tonight to the end of the gravel road that I live on out in Mo, just close to here. So we move the goalposts. It's never going to be intelligent because there's always going to be some corner of intelligence that these machines won't be able to do. All right, so if it's not intelligent, how should we look at it instead? This is where we sort of move into the future. We should look at it as a tool. We should look at it as a hammer or a piano or a telescope or a spreadsheet. It's a tool that can help us achieve something. Let me give you an example. A microscope can help a biologist see a virus, but it doesn't understand what a virus is, obviously. It just magnifies things. Same thing for the AI. The AI can help us process vast amounts of data, but it doesn't care. It doesn't care if it's trying to solve cancer or if it's helping somebody spread misinformation on Facebook. It's the same thing to the AI. Because the microscope isn't the scientist and the AI isn't the intelligence, we are. We have to be. And when we realize this, we can use this to ask better questions. Instead of asking, what can AI do? We can ask, what can we do with AI? Instead of asking, will AI replace us? We can ask, how can we become better with AI? Because that's the real power of AI. That is amplifying what we are able to do. So when an AI helps a doctor find early signs of a disease, it is not because this AI is smart. It is because somebody trained it, somebody tuned it, somebody asked the right questions, and crucially, a doctor interpreted the answer. It's a tool. When AI helps a farmer save water, or it helps a student learn math, or it helps a blind person cross the street, it's not magic. It's good engineering, it's design, it is intent. And that is really important to keep in mind. Also, when AI doesn't work, it's not because it is evil or it is broken, though I can attest to you, sometimes it is broken. It's because we didn't manage to train it right. We didn't manage to ask the right question in the right way. And this leads me to a really important point of responsibility. We have to be responsible for what the AI does. Just like a piano is not responsible for the music, the AI isn't responsible for the results. The pianist is responsible for the bad music, and we humans are responsible for the bad outcomes of AI. But only if we stay in charge. If we choose to let go of responsibility, it's way too easy to shrug and say, well, the AI says so, so it better be like this. Or, oh, the AI made the decision, so I can't do anything. We really have to maintain responsibility. And if we do this, we can really use AI to become better. We can use it to build better products, to imagine better futures, to do really good things. We should stop asking whether AI is intelligent, but ask how AI can make us more intelligent. Because it's not about the AI, it's about humans. And maybe that is what hooked me all those years ago with the DARPA Grand Challenge. It wasn't really about a truck in a desert. It was about the human aspect of this competition. It was about the engineers and the tinkerers and the creative people who thought they could build something really cool with these tools they had available. The DARPA Grand Challenge wasn't a test of AI, it was a test of us, of our ingenuity and creativity. That is still the challenge, and I think it is still grand. Thank you very much.